Welcome back to another We Ourselves video. Today I want to talk about something important that is happening and we need to be aware of. And that's this manufactured fight between Wesley Snipes and Mahershala Ali. This is not the case. I find it odd that, first of all, we are seeing them rewrite history right in front of our faces by trying to say that Wesley Snipes has always got along with Ryan Reynolds. No, he did not. Ryan Reynolds was one of two white characters that were brought into the third Blade movie, Blade Trinity, to take screen time from Wesley Snipes. And he was justifiably pissed about it. And I've mentioned before, but I understood that they would do something like that because you had Ike Perlmutter in charge of Marvel Studios. You know, the guy who famously said he didn't want to have a Black Widow movie, that nobody wanted to see that. He fought Kevin Feige on having a Black Panther movie. Well, surprise, surprise. After Blade injected needed cash into the studio and helped save it, of course he would bring in white actors to take screen time from Wesley Snipes and sideline his Blade character. And Wesley Snipes was pissed about it at the time, and justifiably so. I remember the articles. I remember them using the incidents of him not getting out of his trailer and arguing with the directors and stuff. They used that to label Wesley Snipes as a difficult actor to work with. And just like Tyler Perry did to Monique and almost had her effectively blackballed, same thing happened with Wesley Snipes when they did that to him. And then not too much later, he gets caught up in tax evasion. His accountant threw him under the bus, didn't even tell Wesley Snipes. Again, like Cat Williams says, when somebody starts rising, they put those mechanisms in there so that they can pull the rug out from under them later. And when Wesley Snipes found out what was going on, he offered to pay the penalty and the owed taxes in full. And the judge looked at him and said, no, we're going to throw you behind in jail. And that's what they did. And he had to sit in jail, can't do any more Blade movies, and he had to recover his career once he got out. Don't let them rewrite that history because they're running a PsyOp on you people. And like I said, now they have this manufactured fight between Wesley Snipes and Mahershala Ali, and they want you to believe that there's this groundswell of people, preferably black people, who want Wesley Snipes back as the only viable Blade, and they want to cancel Mahershala Ali's version. I've even had people comment on my video that there's only one Blade and it's Wesley Snipes. And Mahershala Ali, I don't care about all of his awards. It's about these black characters not being able to build a legacy, which means that this all goes back to the fire that was lit by Chadwick Boseman and what he did with T'Challa, which is why they destroyed that and why they've been dragging their feet on Mahershala Ali's Blade. And Ryan Reynolds, of all people, is right here in the middle of it again, being used to create this false conflict between these two black men. This is classic PsyOp, people, and you should not fall for it. And when it comes to these types of operations on black people, we have the actual history of the United States right here for us to look at. It always comes down to pitting one group of us against another group. And that's exactly what they're doing because they don't want you to see the hand that is really pulling the strings behind the scenes. And so it's actually Marvel Disney, the ones who rejected and resisted Mahershala Ali's version of Blade from coming out and, possibly saving the MCU like the first one did 20 plus years ago. So who do they put in the middle of it again? Ryan Reynolds. You can't make this stuff up because all of these individuals are tied together, and I'm going to tell you how. First of all, when Wesley Snipes did the first Blade movie, that was not the iconic black comic book character he wanted to do. He approached Marvel with the idea of doing T'Challa, Black Panther. But because of the problems in getting someone to write it and direct it and feeling that the technology was not there to do it justice, he shelved the project, and when they offered him Blade, he took it. But remember, know this, Wesley Snipes says he did that because he saw both characters as noble and worthy. So he eagerly signed on to do Blade, and he brought that character to life. He made it an iconic character. And I'm using that word on purpose. Iconic doesn't mean that you can't have more. It just means that you did a damn good job. You exceeded all expectations. But just 3 movies later, they made the decision to sideline him. That's when they brought in Ryan Reynolds as one of the white actors to sideline Blade in his own movie so that he was a third wheel. And so you come forward 20 plus years later, and Mahershala Ali does what Wesley Snipes did 20 plus years ago. He walks into Marvel Studios and says that he wants to do a rebooted Blade. Now keep in mind, Wesley Snipes hasn't played Blade for 20 years at this point. And so what happens? Mahershala Ali makes the mistake of saying he wants his Blade to be his Black Panther. And at that point, it was red alert for Marvel Studios. Referencing Chadwick Boseman did with T'Challa, which was in and of itself a realization of what Wesley Snipes wanted to do 20 plus years ago. This is how all of these properties and these actors are connected. And when Mahershala Ali referenced Chadwick Boseman's Black Panther and the success of it, and that he wanted his iteration of Blade to be just as successful, he had to know this. So when Mahershala Ali said those words, that was it for him, and Disney Marvel was not going to allow him to create another Black Panther style success with Blade. They weren't going to let that happen because they were in dire straits now, and there was no way they were going to have a rebooted Blade come back and save Marvel Studios the same way that the original one did years ago. And when people like me started to make the suggestion that that could happen, and yes, I had naysayers who wanted to come into the comments and say that nothing was going to save Marvel. Funny how your tune changed when they brought Deadpool, Ryan Reynolds, forward again, and suddenly they made sure that everyone was on point. Deadpool was going to save the Marvel Cinematic Universe. You had Deadpool saying in the trailer that he's Marvel Jesus. It's like everybody got the talking points. His production was fast-tracked, so much so that his executive producer says she's never seen anything like that on a big budget movie. And so, like I said, they switched to marketing. They started saying that Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool was going to save the Marvel Universe, and they would have him say it in the film, in the trailer, that he's Marvel Jesus. And all the YouTubers, like I said, they went out and they repeated those very words. The PsyOp was in full mode. Everyone was on code. Everybody was on the talking points. They had to use those words in their thumbnail titles or in the wording and what they said in their videos. And it started being repeated over and over again that Deadpool was going to save the MCU because once again, Ryan Reynolds 20 plus years later is being used to sideline a Blade. You can't make this stuff up, folks, and I'm not. This is all true. This has all happened. Now, you can deny it. You can have your head in the sand, but it's real. And that's the connection that all of these men have. And there's no coincidence that they are still circling each other. And so what did they do? They brought in the original Blade. They got him to sign on to Ryan Reynolds' movie and have him say that there's only one Blade and that's all there's ever going to be. And to cover up this obvious replay of what they did 20 years ago, they're trying to create this fake fight between Wesley Snipes and Mahershala Ali. There is no fight between them. The fight is between Mahershala Ali, those who want the new Blade, and Marvel Studios, who does not want that to happen because they know it will be successful. And so they're running their PsyOp. They're trying to get you to think and focus on a fight between these two black male actors. Don't fall for this manufactured story, because what is happening here is they are denying, even bringing in Wesley Snipes, they are denying the chance for these black characters to reach the level of a legacy of a brand so that they would transcend any individual actors, meaning that they could be carried forward into the future so that multiple actors can come in and put their stamp on it. It's not rocket science, folks. We do it all the time with Batman and Superman and Joker and other characters. We have no problem seeing multiple people come in and play these characters and keep them alive in our psyche, whatever you want to call it. Those characters are known the world over. And Batman, Superman, and Joker, as characters, they transcend the individual actors who play the part. That is what they did not want Chadwick Boseman to establish with Black Panther. And that is what they're doing with Blade. They've sidelined Mahershala Ali using Ryan Reynolds again. The man is shady as hell. And now they're bringing back, quote unquote, bringing back Wesley Snipes. He's not going to do a solo Blade movie. He'd be lucky if he gets a cameo somewhere. And the same goes for Hugh Jackman. He came back for this, but he's not going for it. And if he is, then Marvel has a problem with their X-Men, because please notice, there was a soft reboot of that property. We were given younger versions of all these characters, but please note that in the movies, so far, they've shown you the old character. They showed you geriatric Patrick Stewart. I love him. I love him as Captain Picard, but when you watch the Star Trek, you can see he can't do what he used to do. They have to tailor all the scenes to fit his condition. And they bring back Kelsey Grammer to play Beast instead of bringing back the younger version of him in that alternate universe. They bring back, and Kelsey Grammer's long in the tooth now. And they could have had James McAvoy come in and play Professor X, but no, they had to have Patrick Stewart. And now they're bringing back Wolverine and they're having Hugh Jackman play him. But why is it when it comes to the X-Men, they have younger versions of all of these characters and they didn't introduce any of them in the movies? Deadpool did over on his side, but notice in this movie, he didn't. And there's one other thing that I want to say about this, because again, they're telling us that we can't have any legacy when it comes to these iconic black superheroes. It's one man and one man only. If he dies, the character dies. If he's still alive, then he has to play him no matter how old he gets. We are not going to let any of these black characters move on into the future and have other young, talented black actors play the parts. But notice what they did in Deadpool. Even though they brought back the character who played Wolverine for the last 20 years, Hugh Jackman, even though they brought Hugh Jackman back, look at what they did in Deadpool. They showed you a viable, younger, well-known actor playing Logan. You got to see what he would look like, what he would sound like, how he would interact with other characters, and you saw him on the big screen. They had Henry Cavill play a younger version of Logan, and they put it right on the screen. Now, if Ryan Reynolds can do that for Logan, even though they had Hugh Jackman playing multiple versions of himself, why the hell couldn't they bring in Mahershala Ali's Blade and have him in a similar type scene? You could have easily done that, but you decided not to because Ryan Reynolds is working for Marvel, and they have taken sides to stop the reboot. And the reboot is larger just than bringing back Wesley Snipes, who ain't gonna fit the part. The man's a vampire. He's not supposed to age, and it's clear that Wesley Snipes has aged in 20 years. At least with Logan, you saw the passage of time on screen, and you saw the adjustment of the character to fit his real age. It was worked into the storyline. But with Blade, there is none of that. He is literally supposed to look like he did back then, and we have no idea how long ago. You know what they could have done in Deadpool? Like they did with Wolverine, they could have said that the Wesley Snipes Blade, that was on the alternative timelines, and that the real Blade has always been Mahershala Ali, and they could have had him in the damn movie, but no, because they want to stop that. And underneath it is the denial of a legacy for black male superheroes and the female superheroes too. That is what they're doing, and they're covering it up, and they're trying to get you to fall for this fake feud between Mahershala Ali and Wesley Snipes. Marvel is showing its true color. We're seeing them for what they're doing, and we're seeing them for what they're trying, which is why they have upped the ante, and is why that recast Wesley Snipes is not about recasting Wesley Snipes. It's about taking a shot at the recast T'Challa movement. They are upping their warfare, their PsyOp, and we have to be ready, and we have to know, and we have to realize what they're doing. Like Maya Angelou says, when a person tells you about themselves or who they are, believe them. Believe Marvel. They are showing you. So that's it. That's my commentary on these matters. Like and subscribe and share, and I will see you in the next video.